Hey squad, welcome back. Now today we're back in Logic Pro and I'm going to prove once again that I can create a fantastic mix using just Logic Pro stock plugins. So let's dive in. Okay, so here's a taste of the mix that I've come up with, and then we'll go back and I'll show you how I came up with the mix. Have a quick listen.
Would you feel better if I said that this touch could last forever? Every moment I'm with you feels like heaven. If I said this is love, would you feel better? Better. Would you feel better if I said that this touch could last forever? Every moment I'm with you feels like heaven. If I said this is love, would you feel better? Better. I just want you to feel that this is real, real love. Real, real love. I just want you to feel that this is real, real love. Real, real love. I just want you to feel that this is real, real love. Real, real love. I just want you to feel that this is real, real love. Real, real love. Would you feel?
So let me show you how I put this mix together. So here's the breakdown. We're starting with some drums. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 tracks of drums. We've got our bass line. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 synth parts. Then we've got some guitars, 1, 2, 2 guitar parts, a vocoder track. Then we've got some vocals all the way down here. And then we've got 2 effects type tracks. Now, as you can see, as I always do, everything's nicely color coded so they're easy to identify in terms of their group, and everything is sent to a bus. So the drums, of course, are going through to bus 10, synths are on bus 8, guitars on bus 6, and the vocals on bus 7. The principle here is to be able to process groups of related sounds or tracks all together, thereby coloring them in a similar way, as well as saving on some resources. So before we fully dive in, I just want to explain to you the reason for making this particular video. As I said to you recently, I work a lot in prisons, and many of the guys who I work with are incredibly talented, but when they land back on the roads, they're often filled with enthusiasm, filled with drive, filled with creativity, but strapped for cash. And I'm always being asked what gear and what software and what plugins do I need in order to be able to record, mix and master and release my songs. That's the reason for this video. To prove that, if you've got a decent computer, a decent mic, reasonable monitoring and Logic Pro, you're good to go. All right, let's do it. Okay, so let's kick things off with the drums. And as you can see, I've bypassed all of the plugins on the drum channel strip as well as on the drum bus. So let's listen to what's actually on this drum track. It's a kick and a clap. And the next one is this. And then we've got some hats. And then we've got some claps. And now these are all going to be layered on top of each other. Now what we want to do is create space in the frequency spectrum so that each sound source can sit in its own space and not overemphasize certain areas, such as in the low end. So let's quickly look and see what we've got going on for the first drum track. We've got a compressor right here. Let's switch that in. And then we've got an EQ. Let's see what that's doing. Filtering a little bit of the bottom end just here, and we've got a bit of a dip here in the high mid frequency area. We're carving out some sections because we've got some other elements to add on top. And of course I'm using this vintage console EQ taken from the Logic Vintage EQ collection. You definitely want to check these out. Okay, now we're hearing the change in tone and change in character of this part, and all of these plugins are working together to give us that. So let's move to the second drum layer, which is this one right here, and I'm just going to play it in solo and then bring in the plugins that I've got running over the top. Let's start with the EQ. So as you can see, I've now used a low cut filter to take out all of that bottom end, all of the low frequency, all the way up to the low mids, all taken out. And the reason for doing that, of course, is I've got a kick already in the first drum loop on track 1, so I don't need to overemphasize that low frequency. What I want to draw out from this is the percussive sections in this drum loop. So let's bring in the rest of the modules here. Sounding good, really coming to life now. And that's just for this second drum track right here. And of course, I've got my spreader right at the end here. I'm so in love with this little plugin. It just adds some nice dimension to drums and percussion. You must check out my videos. I'll have links above and in the description for this one. So let's bypass and then switch it in so we can hear what it's doing. You should have heard the widening of the stereo field just there. So let's bring these in together. Lovely. So let's listen to our hats in isolation. Okay, we've got an EQ on the hat track. And as you can see right here, it's filtering all the way up to the high frequencies. Let's actually hear what it's doing. Very, very subtle. Let's bring in the overdrive. And then I'm going to add a bit of tape delay just to give a little bit of a reflection. Yeah, sounding good. Let's bring these all in together. And the last thing we've got for our drums is the claps. Let's bring that in. I've just got a compressor and an EQ here, filtering out those low frequencies and the low mids. On the drum bus, I've got at the very top here, which I'm not using, is I've got this Intelligent Dynamics plugin, which I'm going to do another video on. I've just got it there for now, but I'm not using it in the mix. What we do have is, again, another instance of the Vintage Console EQ. We've gone for the drum bus preset. I've made some adjustments. Let's have a listen. And now let's bring in the compressor here, which is this one. Lovely, sounding good. And then of course we can't mix drums in Logic Pro 11 without adding some Chroma Glow. Let's hear what Chroma Glow is going to do to our drums. Yep, Chroma Glow makes it all glow, 100%. Okay, let's move on to our next instrument. So next up, we're going to quickly look at what's happening with the bass. And for this one, I'm using a synth bass. Check it out. Okay, so that's the raw bass without any of the plugins switched in. Let's start off by bringing in our compressor. And for this one, we got for the studio effect Type R bass. Let's have a listen. Now you can hear how that's really bringing the bass to the fore. We've also got the soft distortion switched on to add those additional harmonics. We've also got the Vintage Console EQ as well. Synth bass preset. That's adding some nice warmth to the middle and bottom end. Next up is the Chroma Glow. Let's hear what this is adding. Now what we're getting with Chroma Glow is character. There are lots of presets that you can try out and do the modifications according to what works for you. I'm not really doing anything with this channel EQ, so I'm just going to switch that out. And the final thing we've got on the channel strip here is the adaptive limiter. Let's bring that in. I'm adding about 1 dB of gain and an out ceiling of minus 0.3 decibels. So I just want to squeeze the bass just a touch. So let's have a quick listen. It's all of these subtle changes that continue to add character to the individual parts. So let's have a listen to the drums and the bass now. I'm feeling that. Let's move on. Now, if you're still watching all the way up until this point, I really appreciate it. Remember to give the video a like and subscribe if you haven't already done so. And I'll be making this project available in its entirety over on my Patreon. So head over there to patreon.com/MTTC to download this for your own experimentation. All right, let's dive back in. Okay, so now we're going to look at the synths. Got them all grouped together, and we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 synth parts. Now on each individual channel strip, I've got pretty much the same plugins such as EQ, Compressor, ChromaGlow, and on this one I've got a stereo delay to give us a little bit more width for that particular part. The thing I haven't done yet is adjusted some panning positions. With this number of synths doing slightly different things, you want to create some space within the stereo spectrum for each element to sit. So I'll be doing that later on in the very final mixdown. Now, rather than going through every single one of the plugins on the channel strips, what we're going to look at is what's happening on the bus. We've got the vintage console EQ again, and we're using the enhanced mix preset. I've done my modifications to suit, and the other thing we've got going on here is our compressor. But more importantly, what we've got here is we've got some side chaining going on, and the source of the side chain is drums audio 8, which is the very first track up here, and that's going to provide us with the ducking of the signal, and which you're going to hear in a second. Let's bypass the compressor and then switch it in so you can actually hear the effect that this plugin is creating. Now what the compressor is doing is causing the synth parts to groove with the rhythm of the track. Okay, so let's move on to the guitars. Now this guitar track is a great example how powerful the Logic Pro effects plugins are in terms of transforming elements of your mix. Listen to this guitar part with all of the plugins switched in, and then I'm going to take them off and you'll hear the starting point. Now let's switch them all out. Boring. Let's go through it quickly. We've got a noise gate, of course, just to reduce some of the room noise. Then we've got the pedal board with these really cool guitar plugins. Next up, we've got Logic's Guitar Amp Designer. Customize it to suit my needs. We've got our EQ filtering off some of the dirt at the bottom and just giving us a little notch up here at 1 kilohertz. We then got our compressor. We're using the vintage FET circuit and with the soft distortion switched in. We've also got this really nice tape delay, which has given us just a little bit of echo on an 8th note setting. And finally, for some stereo width, I'm using the sample delay plugin. Now over here on the group bus, because we've got 2 guitar parts, we've got another edition of Logic Amp Designer, the console EQ now, followed by another compressor, and of course ChromaGlow. Now on this other guitar part, there's nothing on the actual channel strip, but we've got it sent to the bus and mixed in there. So have a quick listen to them both. Really lovely. All right, let's move on to the next parts. So we've come to the section of the track which I believe to be the most important section. This is the bit that listeners are going to be singing along to with their voices or even in their heads. Everything else on the track is there to support what's going on with these vocals, and therefore we need to get the vocals to work really well with whatever is accompanying them, but also to stand out and have some character. And in order to accomplish this, we need to use the right plugins. So let's dive back into Logic and see what we can do about this. So let's have a quick listen to the vocals with all of the plugins switched off.
I just want you to feel that this is real, real love. Real, real love. I just want you to feel that this is real, real love. Real, real love. Would you feel
And now listen to the vocals with all of the plugins switched back in.
I just want you to feel that this is real, real love. Real, real love. I just want you to feel that this is real, real love. real love. Would you feel undressed?
Okay, so let me give you the breakdown now on what plugins I've used and how I've used them. Okay, so let's kick things off with this first main vocal track right here. Now, the first thing I've got on the channel strip is a DeEsser, and I'm just using one of the presets, female vocal wide band, because this setting is going to reduce the sibilance in the way that I really want it to work. So let's switch that in. And next up, I'm using the Vintage Tube EQ. Again, this one is part of the Vintage EQ collection, and it's an emulation of the classic Puig Tech EQ. I've gone for pop vocal, and I've made some modifications to suit. So let's hear what this sounds like.
I just want you to feel that this is real love. Real love.
I'm boosting some high-end frequency and taking some out as well. And that's one of the beauties of this particular EQ. All right, let's move on to the compressor. I'm using the Studio Effect Logic compressor without the soft distortion switched in. When the chroma glow is added, we're going to get the extra harmonics that we're looking for. So we don't always have to use the soft distortion.
I just want you to feel that this is real love. Real love.
Okay, now for the chroma glow, let's bring that on.
I just want you to feel that this is real love. Real love. I just want you to feel that.
Okay, so now we're getting some more body, we're getting those extra harmonics that we're looking for. All of the vocals are going through to a vocal bus as well. I've got another instance of a vintage EQ, but this one of course is the console EQ. Again, I've made the adjustments to suit my needs. Let's have a quick listen.
I just want you to feel that this is real love. Real love. I just.
As we bring these things on, we're adding additional textures and characteristics to our vocal. Another instance of the chroma glow. Now this is going to be applied to everything coming through to the bus. I'm using the modern tube setting, but I'm not really driving it. Again, it's going to add some character. Let's have a quick listen.
I just want you to feel that this is real love. Real love. I just want you to feel.
Okay, finally rounding things off with another compressor. This time I'm using the Vintage VCA, which is an emulation of the SSL bus compressor.
I just want you to feel that this is real love. Real love.
So in addition to the effects on the channel strip as well as on the bus, we're also sending signal through to some auxiliary buses where we've got some vocal reverbs and some delay settings. So let's have a quick listen to that now.
I just want you to feel that this is real love. Real love. I just.
Sounding good. So now let's move on to the harmony track, which has got pretty similar effects to the main vocal track, but we've got some additional things going on here, such as the stereo delay and the spreader. Let's have a quick listen to these two together.
I just want you to feel that this is real love. Real love. I just.
Now on this track down here, I've got an edit where we're going to have a nice bit of echo or delay.
I just want you to feel that this is real love. Real love. I just want you to feel that.
Oh, that really works nicely. And of course, we've got some more things going on here with the rest of these vocal parts. But remember, you'll be able to download the project, so you'll be able to dig more deeply into it. Now, if you've stayed with me up until this point, I really do hope I brought you value. Head over to patreon.com/MTTC, download this one, try it out, see what I did, save the presets for your own use if you feel they'll be useful. And remember to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. And I'll be back again real soon. Until then, I'm Deuce, I'm out, peace.